Welcome to Social Constructivism Instructional Models. Now that you've had a chance to learn a little bit about social constructivism, there are a couple of models that have been mentioned throughout the theme park. More importantly, there are a variety of different approaches that an instructor can take to teach a class from a social constructivist perspective. This presentation will highlight some of the different approaches that you can apply, including scaffolding, cooperative learning, inquiry-based learning, project-based learning, case-based learning, as well as problem-based learning. Although many of these are very similar to each other, it is important to note that there are slight nuances and differences between many of them, and more importantly, these approaches are ones that are found throughout the literature on social constructivism. So these are some of the ones that you can consider applying in your classroom when appropriate. Scaffolding, again, is really the case where the instructor provides support or help to students. This support or help can be really in the form of questions, a suggestion. It could be in the form of tools and resources such as a video, a graphic, a one-page document, etc. Again, the idea here is that the goal of this is to help a student get to perform a task that is just beyond the level of what the learner can do alone and help them to increase their zone of comfort so that they ultimately can learn how to do this task and other activities on their own with no help. More importantly, again, a scaffolding activity builds on prior knowledge and helps students internalize new information. Again, scaffolding is just one of the approaches that you can take. In addition, you could apply cooperative learning strategies. Cooperative learning, according to Vygotsky, is an integral part of creating a deeper understanding. More importantly, cooperative learning is seen as a tool that can be used in small group assignments so that students are able to work together and maximize their own and each other's learning. In addition, based on the research, what we're able to also show is that there is quite a bit of success when it comes to cooperative learning. Based on the research, we have seen there are high levels of achievement, more positive relationships among students, as well as healthier psychological adjustments than do competitive or individualistic experiences. In short, there is quite a bit of research that supports the benefits of cooperative learning for your learners. Last but not least, from a cooperative learning perspective, we do know that when students master completion of projects or activities in a group, the internalization of knowledge occurs for each individual at a different rate according to their own experience, which again, overall, students will be able to internalize these new bits of information and experiences, and it will help them in creating that deeper meaning overall. Again, collaborative learning and scaffolding are just some of the items that you can use. You can also take the approach provided and suggested by both Lawrenson, Kogan, as well as Jiwei and Singh, and that is inquiry-based learning. When it comes to inquiry-based learning, very similar to problem-based learning, the idea is that there is questioning, critical thinking, and problem solving that happens. In some cases, you may see inquiry-based learning also listed as problem-based learning in some cases, but the idea here is that in inquiry-based learning, there are questions. And the question, which is established usually by students, or in some cases, it's negotiated by the students with the teacher in terms of what that question is. The idea is that the question forms a change in terms of what the role of the student is. In inquiry-based learning, a question is formed, but what this requires is that the students move from being passive learners to active explorers. And what this does to the teacher's role is, again, it moves them down the path of being less of an instructor and more of a guide, again, as seen in the Constructivist classroom role presentation throughout the theme park. Overall, the point of inquiry-based learning is really to help and maximize the level of individual knowledge construction that is supported by peer and social interactions. Similar to inquiry-based learning, we also have in the literature project and case-based learning. When it comes to project-based learning, also known as PBL, really focuses on mimicking professional situations in either exploring a problem or providing a project to learners where there's really more than one way to either solve the problem or to implement the solution. So it really does give an opportunity for students to be creative and come up with a variety of different solutions to these problems or projects. PBL, in essence, really helps learners to get beyond surface learning and move them more into what we would like to call getting deeper into the materials, seeking meaning, relating concepts to experience, and really evaluating ideas and giving them the means to be extremely creative and construct new meaning. Similarly, we have case-based learning. Now, case-based learning is another type of problem-oriented learning methodology. We see this quite often in professional training courses. We also see case-based learning as well in MBA programs throughout the country. And again, it is similar in that a project, a problem, in this case, a case, is provided to learners. What it really does is give learners the opportunity to work on an authentic and complex problem and give them the ability to explore it, while at the same time giving them the transfer of knowledge and potential solutions that they could apply into real professional situations. In addition, we also have in the literature problem-based learning. Although there are many cases where you will see problem-based learning and inquiry-based learning together, there are some cases in the literature where they are treated as two separate entities. In the case of problem-based learning, the idea is that students use problem-based learning to go in and investigate, analyze, and collaborate together to solve ill-structured problems. In addition, students engage in research, discussion, and revise their solutions in the classroom, while the teacher acts as the role of facilitator and helps them and provides them with guidance if needed throughout the process. Last but not least, problem-based learning provides learners with the ability not only to identify a problem, but give them the means to state an appropriate hypothesis and test a solution. Again, like any other solution that is out there, the ones that you've seen in this presentation today are just some of the examples that are found throughout the literature. But what you'll also understand is there are considerations when it comes to developing the social constructivist classroom. First and foremost, any effective teaching method that is used needs to include the creation of an environment where students feel free to both create unique concepts and structures for further retrieval. Again, part of it is to give students the feeling that it is okay to go and take risks, call upon their past experiences, their past prior knowledge, and bring that to bear into the solutions and ideas that they will negotiate with others on their projects. In addition, it is important that students learn through these examples and they use examples and relate to them both on an emotional and cognitive basis. This can mean giving them solutions where they have either direct or real-world experience, or giving them the means where they can simulate experiences where they can begin to develop an understanding of those environments, and that will give them an emotional or affective type of connection. Which again brings back the entire importance of the fact that students can experience their world using meaningful practices that connect emotionally or affectively, and helping them to develop thinking and cognitive portions of their self. Again, it's important for the students to connect to the materials, whether it's by using tools such as videos, whether it's relating it to real world topics. Giving students the ability to connect to the material is very critical, to help them in, again, beginning to think meaningfully in terms of the problem and those potential solutions. Last but not least, knowledge has to be built on existing knowledge and one's background and experiences that contribute to this process. So if there's an opportunity to help students think about what they've learned in a previous class and their previous experiences out in the real world, finding ways to bring those into the conversation or into the solution development process is critical as well. In summary, there are a variety of different solutions that you can use to help you in furthering social constructivist learning in your classroom. Again, like any methodology, it's all about the learning objectives. What are the goals? What are you trying to get your students to do? And ultimately, which of these scenarios fits best into what you're trying to teach and how you're trying to teach. At the end of the day, the good news is that there are many ways in which you can bring in social constructivist learning methodologies into the classroom.